Hey guys, sorry I look crazy because I didn't have to dress up today for you guys. Today we're going to kind of go over some equivalent fractions because I feel like you guys still need some work on this, and you're going to have to bear with me because I haven't taught online in a really long time, probably since college. So it's going to be a little bit different, than what it normally would be. But I think we still need to practice some equivalent fractions. So let's see what we can get done. I am going to post the slideshow in our Google Classroom so that we can review it together as you watch this video. So if you want, you can go ahead onto our See, Miss Brummer's crazy this morning. Go ahead into our Google Classroom and click on the math slideshow, and you're going to follow along. Get a piece of paper. If you have a whiteboard at home, that's great. But you can all do this on a piece of paper, no biggie. Crayon, pencil, whatever. Okay? Cool beans. So we're gonna look at the first slide, and I'm going to try to turn this guy around, which I don't really know how. So I guess I'm not gonna turn it around. All right, here we go. This is the slide that we are looking at currently. On the number line below, how much is the line shaded, or how much of the line is shaded is what you're looking at. I'm going to redraw this number line for you so that you can see it on my whiteboard, okay? And remember, I'm not Miss Murphy, so my stuff is a little wonky, but that's okay. Okay, as you can see, I've got one hole for my number line. I don't have more than one hole, so I'm not worried about taking our hole with us on our fractions, okay? And we're gonna count to see how many pieces this number line is partitioned into. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if it's partitioned into 8 pieces, what do we know our fractions are? Eighths, that's right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And as I do that, I want to show you a really cool trick. And it's going to be hard to kind of do upside down, so bear with me. When you do any kind of fraction bars or number lines, always mark the middle first, right? It makes it easier. Then you're going to half that middle on either side. Now we're into fourths. We're going to half those fourths. Now we're into eighths. And they're all fairly even. Now again, not Miss Murphy. Not going to be perfect. But they're all fairly even. Okay? Now, this number line, if you're following along on our slideshow, is marked all the way up 6 spaces. So we know we need to draw a fraction bar. And I'm going to use a different color to kind of help show you what that looks like. So I'm going to start at the 0, and I'll show you in a minute what I'm doing. And I'm going to go all the way to the 1 as our fraction bar, because that's one hole. And I'm going to go ahead and partition these into eighths. So your fraction bar should look like this. And each one of these pieces is equivalent to 1/8. See? So if 6 of them are shaded in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many 1/8 pieces are shaded in? 6. So we know our numerator is going to be 6 and our denominator is going to be 8. We know that 6/8 of this number line is shaded. All right, go ahead and clear your board, y'all. Miss Brummer's gonna look for an eraser because I never can find them. guys are probably doing a really good job. I wish I knew that, but I'm pretty sure you probably are. So we're going to go to the next one. So if you're following along on our slideshow, go ahead and click next. You should get your screen that looks kind of like this. We're still warming up. And it says, what fraction of a whole is represented by a point R on the number line below? Wow. What do we notice about that number line to start with? How many wholes do we have? That's right. We only have one whole, and we can see that by this 0 to 1. So how many pieces is this partitioned into? And remember, partition means to split. 4, that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. And our job is to figure out what fraction R represents on this number line. Okay. Back to my board. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to redraw my number line because unfortunately, I'm not tech savvy like Miss Deskins and couldn't figure out how to tape myself any other way. So this is what we got today. So here's my number line that we have, and we know that R is right here. Okay. So how can we solve this? What strategy can we use to figure out where R is on this number line? Y'all know what I'm going to say. That's right. We can use fraction bars. You're right. See, you guys got this. We'll draw it in my separate color just to make it easier on us all. We'll go ahead and partition it. Each piece represents how much, friends? Each piece represents how much? That's right. Each piece, 1/4. Or a quarter. It's another word for fourth. So how many fourths should be colored in based on where R is on that number line? You tell me. I know y'all know. That's right. We should have only colored in 1/4, which means that R, the fraction that represents R on the number line, is 1/4. Y'all are just rocking it out, let me tell you. Good job. Go ahead and clear your boards. I know y'all got this. And I know this is review, and I know some of you are like, oh my goodness, another week of fractions, because we've done 4 weeks of fractions. But I was looking at your tests, and I feel like we still kind of need to work on it a little bit before we're ready to move on. I'm going to go ahead and skip through the rest of the warm-up. You guys feel free to do that if you choose to. I don't feel like we may need it anymore because y'all are pretty warmed up in my opinion. Okay. Oh, we're back at equivalent fractions. Y'all, what does equivalent mean? What does equivalent mean? I'm giving y'all wait time in case you didn't know for you to answer. Equivalent means equal, which means that if I'm asking you what is equal, I'm asking you for the same value. Okay, so when we look at this slide, it's our first I do slide. Oh, this primer is not even on the screen there. Sorry, guys. Regina drew the rectangle below. Which fraction has the same value as the shaded section above? Huh. Now, there's some key words in there. Do y'all know what those are? same value. That is telling us immediately that we are doing equivalent fractions. So what do we notice about this figure over here? What do we notice? Okay, it's a quadrilateral, you're right, which means it has 4 sides. I'm noticing that it's split into 3 equal pieces, okay? And only one of them is partitioned, all right? But what I'm noticing about the answer choices is different than what I noticed about the quadrilateral. The answer choices are sixths, but our quadrilateral is split into thirds. So what does that mean? Y'all, we got to find the same value. What is the best way to do that? I'm waiting. I'll listen. Shout it out. I don't care if you're in your pajamas. Shout it out. Okay, that's right. We have to do fraction bars, so I'm going to show you how to do that now, okay? Every time I put this phone down from filming, my computer slides. Okay, so we know that we have one fraction bar that is split into thirds, correct? Cool. Glad y'all are following along. All right. Now, I made 2 fraction bars. Notice, both of them are equal size. It is so important that when we do fraction bars, you are making your fraction bars, the wholes, equal size, because otherwise you're comparing it and it doesn't make sense, because you might have one that has a bigger hole than the other. Well, if I have a chocolate chip cookie, but it's the size of my face, and Lila has a chocolate chip cookie that's teeny tiny, well, 2 pieces of my chocolate chip cookie are going to be way more than 2 pieces of hers. So it's really important for us to use fraction bars and the holes be the same size. On the top one, I'm going to go ahead and partition that into thirds, because that's what we're looking at originally. That was what our original quadrilateral was split into. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark third. Look at that. Beautiful, right? Now the first, if you notice, if you're on the same slide as I am, the first fraction that we're comparing is 1/6. So I'm going to go ahead and split this guy into 6. And I'm going to color in 1/6. Are these equivalent? Negative, Ghost Rider. They are not. Try another one. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and erase this guy right here. The next one says 2/6, so we're gonna go ahead and check that. I'm gonna draw my fraction bar again, and I'm gonna partition this baby into 6. Now, is that equivalent? Ding, 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 we have a winner. Okay. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we need to also check the other ones, because you never know. You know these EOG crazy people. They're going to try to trick you. No need for that. So I'm going to actually redraw my fraction bar for 1/3 and compare it a little bit below so I don't have to erase. I know normally we would just kind of all do it, but I don't have enough room for that. So it says 3/6. So if I've got 1/3, I'm going to color it in to compare, right? 3/6. Partition this bad boy into 6. Color in my 3 pieces. Is that equivalent? No way, Jose. 3/6 is equivalent to 1/2, not 1/3. Let's go ahead and mark that guy off. We can say see you later, sayonara. Let's check another one. We have 4/6. Again, redraw my fraction bars so I didn't have to erase the one we know is equivalent. You never know if they're going to trick us. Color in my 1/3. And now I'm going to partition this guy into 6 and color in 4 pieces. Are these guys equivalent? No way. Okay, so we're going to erase that. Now, y'all know I like to double check my answers, right? So what I'm going to do is we're going to check this with multiplication, okay? I'm going to take 1/3 and I'm going to multiply it by a whole. So the numerator and denominator must be the exact same number in order for this to work. So we're going to do it by 2, okay? So 1/3 multiplying 2 over 2, okay? Now, 1 times 2 is, shout it out, y'all. I don't hear you. 2, that's right, good job. 3 times 2 is what? Say it a little louder, folks. 6. So are 1/3 and 2/6 equivalent? Yes, they are. Great job, guys. Y'all are rocking it out, I'm telling you what. We're going to do one more, and then I'm going to kind of assign you a little something on Google Classroom to kind of go along with this, okay? Y'all are rocking it out, trust me. Oh. Y'all, this is hard, but it's okay. Go to the next slide. We're going to work through it. It says, which compares the fractions correctly? Hint, the smaller the denominator, the bigger the fraction. I don't want you to necessarily worry about that because I want you to know that you can compare greater than, less than, equal to with any fraction as long as you draw your fraction bars. It will make sense, okay? So we know we need to make sure that the sentence reads correctly. So let's go ahead and we're going to kind of draw these out on our boards, okay? If you've got your paper, get it ready. You might have to flip over on the back at this point because you should have a bunch of fraction bars written out. Oops. Okay, so the first one says 2/8 is greater than 2/6. So we're going to kind of do that one. What should I do first? What's the very first thing we should do whenever we do comparing fractions? You're right. Yes, fraction bars, of course. Okay. Now, both my fraction bars are of an equal size. Remember, if you don't make them equal size, you may mess up when comparing them because they're not comparable. So I'm going to partition one of them into 8ths. And I'm going to partition one of them into 6ths. Now it says 2/8 and 2/6. I'm going to go ahead and color these bad boys in. Are they equivalent? Or excuse me. They're not equivalent, clearly. But is 2/8 greater than 2/6? You should be shaking your head no. 2/6 is way bigger. So we know that that's not right. So you can go ahead and slash and trash. Okay? Let's do the next one. The next one says 2/8 is less than 2/6. So I shouldn't have probably erased. But, you know, Miss Brimmer jumps the gun sometimes. That's okay, because I'm working with a whiteboard and I can just move on. And we'll go ahead and partition one of them into 8ths. And one of them into 6ths. Look at there, look at there, look at there. 2/8, 2/6. Now, is 2/8 less than 2/6? Yes or no? Get up and do a jig if it is. Dance it out. Okay, I agree. 2/8 is smaller than 2/6, but we need to double check everything else to make sure that that is the only one and that we don't have a question about another one. Now it says here, letter C, 2/8 equals 2/6. Do we know whether that's true or not? We know it's not true. Oh, look at here. Letter D says 2/8 is greater than 2/8. Y'all, if that is not a silly answer, I really don't know what it is. That is super silly. No. So we know that 2/8 is less than 2/6. Now, I know this is unusual and this whole process is unusual, but that's okay. I'm going to try to upload videos throughout the week to kind of help us really understand fractions, and I think I'm going to try to get us into some elapsed time later on this week. So really be on the lookout on our Google Classroom. I have a lot of stuff already uploaded up there. Feel free to go ahead and watch this, do the slides with it, do the extra work with it. You guys got this, and I'll see you as soon as I can. Peace out, Girl Scout.